It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
We're just going to go take a look at the store and see. I don't get a chime anymore when somebody buys something. So I'm going to go see if there's anything left over at the store, but that was a commercial for our store. This is the end of Cyber Monday week. So we have a couple of our Cyber Monday sets over there. Anybody wants to get one of those, all kinds of extra free stuff going out with Free Patch Friday, in addition to that. So looks like there are still a couple of those over there. I probably should have put something on the main page of the website. Let's see, throw a link in there though. So everybody, thanks for joining us. Waited till the end of the other show, Gizzard's show, and got started a little bit late. So thanks everybody joining us for the live portion of the show for the late start. As you can see, the puppy fell asleep while we were waiting for the show to get going. Now he's ready to co-host. So we go live every day, and on Fridays we go live at midnight Eastern, and we look back at what happened during the week as far as what our Second Amendment protects. Usually looking at YouTube for the most part, but often we look at other things as well. This week it's a little bit abbreviated. I have been working on another project and kind of have a good chunk of the show here, but not as much as I could if I had a little bit more time to work on it this week. So in addition to looking at the co-host getting the belly rub here, we'll bring up the screen here. So for people that are joining us in the future as some sort of a podcast, we go live with the puppy co-host, and the puppy co-host just woke up, so he's getting his wake-up rubbings. We're going to take a look at our Substack, which is essentially a blog. We've got a link to it at the top of the first comment of the show in the live comments out there. So if you ever want to check it out, it's just substack.com and then gun websites, right? So we put the description of this show over on YouTube on a couple of different places each week. That's one of the reasons we do this show. Is the stuff that we value is often not the stuff that has the biggest backing or the most attention, but it's usually worth more than it's got. So our goal is to spread the awareness, to put links and pictures, information about the different things we're going to be talking about on as many platforms as we can each week. So that means social media platforms. We create the thing here on YouTube, but the thing that we're creating here was already written. I put this together during the week. So the description of this YouTube video is essentially on quite a few different platforms already. And once it's a podcast, it'll get on even more. And then our goal is accomplished, to get these projects and people out there as much as possible. Now, in addition, we're doing this each week, so we try to take a look at what's going on in the big game, I guess, the big playing field. This week, I didn't get as much chance to work on that. However, not too many pieces changed this week, but quite a few did, so I missed a few of those. We'll try to catch up. And then ideally, Every Second Matters will be the future home of the scoreboard, the tally, the results of the actions of each week. Right now, though, let's dig into the show. So thanks, everybody, again, for joining us live. I'll say hey to Jacob, who joined us first. Ron Wayne is out there, and Misty is out there as well. So if anybody else is out there we wouldn't know, let's just say hey. Or if you're listening in the future, you're part of the show, just leave a comment, and we read them all. If you're watching on or listening on one of the podcast platforms out there, definitely appreciate the people who give us thumbs and likes and hearts and those kind of things. That lets the platform know that you appreciate what we've got out here, and that helps to get us recommended more to other people. Let's see, we put this on our Patreon blog as well. There's a scroll at the bottom of the screen right here. It says our Patreons make it possible for us to spend time on projects like these. Thank you. And then there's a link to our Patreon page. So Patreons are essentially the subscribers to what we do here. We don't just go live on YouTube. We don't just have social media platforms where we brag about stuff we get for free or go on trips and take you along with us or anything like that. All we do is projects for the most part. Over the years, focused on community and helping people be part of this whole thing, either just in general with removing the barriers to entry to gun community, to help people understand what all is out there and how much facets there are to this whole thing, or to being part of the content creation, getting on board and being part of the voice, using your voice to be part of the conversation. All of that is our goal. So we really appreciate the Patreons that have given us the opportunity over the years to do that stuff. And now that we're going into 2024, we're going to have a lot more fun with that, actually. More people are joining in. Keith is out there. Woods is joining in as well. And welcome. Let's see. So then we get to our newsletter. I need to work on this more. We sent out a couple of newsletters last week or whatever, but I don't know. I need to get a better format for the newsletter, essentially. I think it's really what's slowing me down on the newsletter is it takes so long to put it together, and it's a factor of the newsletter. So maybe I'll start building in something else and just copying and pasting it over to the service. We'll see. And then Substack, which is where we're looking at right now. It's essentially another blog. You can subscribe to it. I think you can even become a member over there, although we have mostly free members. But there are some writers and some people that use Substack as their Patreon or their subscription option, and it's pretty handy. It's as we'll see here, I think the formatting is a lot better. I can actually put headings. I can put more than just nothing, which is what YouTube lets us do. YouTube is pretty boring to look at. For example, if I bring the YouTube thing over here, it just looks super boring. Best I can do is add these little lines to kind of keep the sections apart. But since I'm over here looking at the YouTube, why don't we talk about the poll? A lot of people don't even bother with the poll. They have no respect for their audience. Well, I shouldn't say they have no respect for the audience. They just don't care what you think. Well, I do care what you think. I don't do these things live because I'm lazy. I do them because I value the interactive nature of what this internet's all about. You're not watching TV. You're not listening to the radio. Now, you might be listening to a podcast, but even then, you have an ability to have feedback with us directly. There's not such a huge department of people here. There's me and the puppy. And I'll give you a little secret. He never reads the emails. It's his job. He should be, but he doesn't read any of the emails. So, you're involved with the conversation here. Now, if you're joining live, you have an opportunity to be immediately involved in the show. So, how was this week for 2A? I always ask this question each week. Was it a good week or was it a great week? Was it a good week, okay, or bad? here's the other part of it. You can answer for free, but now you have an obligation. If you choose, leave a comment on why you think it was a good week or a bad week or whatever. Let's see. Woods is saying he watches TV and listens to this. Well, some people don't want to look at a puppy getting his head rubbed the whole time. Like this. His ears used to be way up here, but I rub his head so hard all the time because he's such a cute little puppy that his ears have now shifted a good 1.5 inches back on his head a little bit. Not my fault. All right, so normally we would get into the news of the week. Normally I would go look at the NSSF newsletter. I'm not blaming NSSF for me not reading their newsletter, but I haven't read their newsletter. And is it my fault? I don't know. I'm going to go open up the email real quick, act like, this is part of the show. Like this is written into the show as an interesting behind the scenes part of it. Uh-oh, am I going to find my mute? I don't know why I'm coughing so much today. Maybe because I'm drinking so much coffee. So I'm going to open up this email, and then I have to open up another email, and it's, of course, going to be on the second email I open. But let's see if that email came in. Usually comes in about 2 p.m. my time. What do you know? There it is. So let's see what they got going on here. NICS checks top 680,000 on the week of Black Friday. That figure is down slightly from 2002, which was 711,000. So a couple of 30,000 fewer NICS checks, which I will once again say I don't care about, because as long as there's more and more universal background checks, until you show me that is factored out, then this doesn't mean gun sales. This just means gun transfers. That means everybody who bought a present for somebody had to do potentially a transfer. What if grandma bought a gun for each of her granddaughters, and now 4473s have to take place? That's not new gun sales. It's certainly not 6 gun sales or whatever it would come out to. Because that would be a NICS check for grandma and then 5 NICS checks for the granddaughters. So anyhow, then this next one is Florida, California governors clash in debate. I didn't watch that. I guess I probably should have, but I heard a little bit about it. But, I'm not, my favorite pastime isn't watching politics. They want as much of our time as they can get. Let's see. Then the next one says, this is reading from the NSSF thing. I just don't want to put it on the screen because I'm essentially showing you everybody else's email addresses, and everybody gets mad when I do that, so I'm not going to do that. So the next one is UN conference pushes anti-hunting meatless agenda to fight climate change. Sure. The next one is MSR ban law appealed to U.S. Supreme Court. I'm assuming that means modern sporting rifle and magazines with a capacity greater than 10 rounds. Being petitioned to the U.S. Supreme Court is the second time the case was sent to the nation's highest court. The Court of Appeals for the 7th, in a 2-1 decision, overruled the lower court's injunction of Illinois' Protect Illinois Communities Act, signed into the law. And petitioned for rehearsing. All right, so again, we need somebody who can give us play-by-play on these laws that are not trying to show off how much of a legal scholar they are. We just need to have somebody who understands it to give us the normal layman's terms or whatever. But it sounds like the Illinois assault rifle ban is having some kind of overruled. So some injunction was overruled. I can't tell which way the injunction's going, so I can't help you with that one. Rem Arms announces Georgia consolidation. So Remington's Firearms announced that company will consolidate manufacturing in their new planned facility in LaGrange, Georgia. Remington was founded in 1816. Maintained production in New York throughout their nearly 2 centuries. Then they made the announcement this week that the oldest firearms brand is moving, increased on the increasing hostile New York political environment. We are saddened by the closing of our historic facility in Ilion. We have a dedicated workforce at the facility, but maintaining and operating those very old buildings is cost prohibitive. And New York's legislative environment remains a concern for our industry. In the coming months, we expect to be working with our Vion, I don't know how that says, employees and their representatives on transition issues. So Remington is moving to Georgia. Remington is a pretty cool story. So one of the oldest places. Woods has no shortage of puppies. And Misty is saying, I want to reach through my TV and give that puppy a pet. Well, you can't give him a pet. I can rub his head for you. He likes this. I wiggle around all of his face skin because he's got so much of it. Oh, let me go big screen for this. So first you got to rub. Come on. First you got to rub around all of his face skin. That also lets you know where the mouth is. Now there's his mouth. Then give him these gizzard biscuits. These are biscuits made out of gizzard chunks. Sorry, gizzard. And then we find the mouth again and put it right in the mouth. No other weekly 2A show. Uh-oh, the girl dog came in here. She woke up. She's no longer a fan of this dog getting fed on the show without her getting a piece. So now she's getting fed also. She was fed up and now she's just fed little pieces of gizzard. Okay, so there you go. That was for Misty. And then I'll give her one of these again. No other show pets their co-host at all. None of them. And then none of them have a baby puppy co-host. Okay, I guess we'll get back to the show. This is PSMR, puppy sounds and farts or something like that. You pet them too much on this end and all the fart bubbles go through and come out that end. So you gotta be careful. You don't want to pet them too much. All right, we'll go back to the other screen. We'll put the puppy in the corner down here because he's being gross again. Whenever he's being gross, that's when I tap him on the head, and that teaches him to quit being gross. All right, so now we'll get back over to the show. And normally we would be talking about the 2A of the week. That's when I was overlooking at the email over here. Remington moving was the last of the national news, I guess, whatever they call news of the week. Now they're getting to the federal news. The NSSF rebukes a new assault weapons ban introduced by two, what are they? Representatives, we'll just say. Senators, I think. Senator from New Mexico and senator from Maine. Idiots. Gas-operated semi-automatic firearms exclusion, GOSAFE, Go Safe Act, which would ban modern sporting rifles and most other semi-automatic rifles. Yeah, when it's an election year, guess what? People who want free campaign news, campaign mentions on the news, guess what they're going to do? When you want to probe what can work and what can't work with guns, you're going to use your lamest political elements and you're going to send them off to do crazy things. Remember Beto in Texas and the crazy shit that he was saying because they knew he was a lost cause, so they could do whatever they want with that guy and you can test the waters, right? Like they can send him out on thin ice and see if it cracks. So they're going to do all kinds of stuff. It's to our advantage to be aware of this stuff, but not to overreact. I don't know if anybody's overreacting to that or not, but we're going to see a lot of that in the next year or so. Then it says Biden's re-election campaign targets gun control. The campaign is waking from its slumber and vowing he will finish the job on gun control. I have not seen anything about him running for office, so I guess that's the thing. Then it says the House Oversight Chairman demands answers for firearms export pause. An Oversight Committee Chairman from Kentucky sent an SSF-supported letter to the Commerce Secretary to demand answers regarding the Commerce Department's decision last month to stop issuing new export licenses. That's the kind of stuff I read this newsletter to hear. So again, we're going to eventually have this set up so that instead of just reading this each week, we'll have it reported on a scoreboard on Every Second Matters. And that way people who are interested in keeping up to the minute can do so, but then they'll flip a scoreboard so that everybody else can just come up and look at the scoreboard, not have to worry about reading through all these newsletters and stuff. But the next one is, it says, gun control senators ignore criminals to treat guns as a disease. So we've got, I don't know this guy's name, Durbin. U.S. senators bent on more gun control used a hearing at the Judiciary Committee to attempt yet again to diagnose violent crime in America as a public health disease. Their only proposed cure, of course, is more gun control. So that's well written, but again, I'd like to see more on that one. Again, not so much because I'm worried about it, but just so that we can tally the number of times that they waste everybody's time and they attempt to distract from, if they're going to keep saying that guns are a disease, then they can't say that when there's 107,000 fentanyl deaths last year. It jumped 5 times up to 107,000. It had been 20,000. And even then, that's more than the number of murders with a gun. So they have the audacity to suggest that guns are a health disease, a health problem. They do that for one, because they have doctors on their side. They can listen to the doctors they want to, and they can ignore the doctors that they want to. But if they listen to the police chiefs and the sheriffs, those are typically working against them because they think of it as a crime issue. And if they listen to sociologists, people who look at the numbers developed by the CDC and others, they'll look at it as an issue with society, failed public policy. There's no way they're going to admit that. So they need it to be a health crisis so that it cannot be a criminal issue or a societal issue. That way they can act like it's not their fault and that they are doing something to solve it, although of course they're not. But in other words, they're also, in this case, it says that they're also doing this I was thinking, well, they're just doing it this time. But again, they're doing it this time because it's the election year, or they're coming up on an election year, and they know they can sing that old song again. The next one is incentives, not bans, show promise on traditional ammo. NSSF has long fought against blanket bans on the use of traditional lead-based ammos, including raising concerns with Fish and Wildlife Service bait and switch decision to open up more federal land for public hunting opportunities while banning hunters from using traditional ammunition in those areas. Extensive report on how outright bans are proving ineffective. There's a lack of any data showing negative impacts on thriving wildlife populations or public health. Well, I don't know. Instead of complaining and trying to say it's awesome to use lead, why don't we just move on from lead already? It seems ridiculous that we're going to die on the hill of throwing lead around, for crying out loud. Move on from lead. But they're complaining that it's cool, just throw lead everywhere. And bad when somebody says you shouldn't throw lead everywhere. How about you say, hey, you want us to get rid of lead? Then get rid of the NFA so we can actually develop something besides lead. We can't do it with the barrels we got today because of the NFA. Just get rid of the NFA and we will promise to look for alternatives to lead. Right? Done. Next one, Representative, somebody introduces bill to get armed forces veterans a field. Jennifer Kiggins from Virginia, maybe, introduced H.R. 6342, the Military and Veterans in Parks Act, or MVP Act, to promote and enhance outdoor recreation activities for members of the armed forces and veterans on federal recreational lands and waters. It would require the Interior and Agriculture Secretary to assess and make available information for recreational shooting, hunting, and fishing opportunities for members of the military and veterans. This would include making information of trails available and update signage. What? To develop an educational and public awareness programs to ensure information is available to... I think that's a waste of time and effort. What do they need? We don't need bureaucracy to tell us what already exists. How about just leave us alone? How about shut up, leave us alone, and quit spending money? I don't know why that one's good. Just because they say it's for us. They don't need to waste a bunch of time and money. Just say it's for us. Then that was it? No. Massachusetts hearing for gun control focuses on wrong answers. So Massachusetts... What do they say, lawmakers? The Massachusetts representatives in the Senate heard from witnesses on more than 50 proposed gun control bills, where it became quickly apparent that the proposed bills have nothing to do with cracking down on crime, but everything to do with limiting the rights of the law-abiding citizens. So now they're going to talk about bearing arms instead of Maryland or Massachusetts. Let's see. Maryland State Police handgun licensing requirements remains for now. So... it looks like they ruled in the Fifth Circuit Court 2-1 that the handgun qualifying license, or whatever it's called, handgun HQL in Maryland, is unconstitutional, but the state police are saying until there's a change in the law that there's going to be no immediate changes in the process to purchase a firearm in Maryland. So, got to educate the police there and then hold them accountable once they are educated and slap them, for not listening, not doing their job right away. So then we get to Virginia. Legislators pre-file bill to ban assault rifles and possession. Of course, they call them modern sporting rifles now. Is it cool? I should make a poll on if it's cool to say modern sporting rifles. I don't like it. I don't like saying it. I think it sounds stupid and weird. I don't like saying it. I'm not going to keep saying it. I don't like it. I don't like saying assault rifle either. That's stupid. But, assault rifle is one thing. But I don't like saying assault weapon. And MSR is even as dumb. I don't like saying assault rifle because it's a stupid word to say it. It's a Nazi word. Assault weapon is fake. Just another word that's similar. And MSR is as bad in the other direction, in my opinion. I guess it's better than saying what they want to say, but I don't know. It made my dog fall asleep. You got that for you. The nation's capital records the nation's capital records most murder in 2 decades. 250th homicide of the year. With a month to go, it's the highest number of homicides in 2 decades. Well, I don't like bringing that shit up. I don't like bringing up fear as a reason for our guns, and I don't like bringing up failed policy like that. It might be the case, and it might be tempting, but we're better than that, and we don't have to stand on the graves. That's a freaking Bloomberg move, to stand on graves for your position. So I'll keep moving from that one. So now we've got the poll going over there. Puppy woke up again. We got the poll going. It says 67% are going for great week. 22% are on good week. I guess I can flip it over here. 11% for okay. None of them for bad. So that's good to hear. But feel free to leave some why you are voting the way you're voting. All right, so let's move on to the rest of the show here. I guess I got half an hour in just reading their newsletter, so I did pretty good. Hopefully I got some information across. There's none of that is bullet points over here. I guess that saved me about an hour reading it for half an hour versus typing it all out for an hour and then reading it for 15 minutes. I don't know which one's better. We're going to get a stretch. I don't get his stretches too often because he comes up and stretches way above the camera. So it just looks like he's standing there. But when he wakes up, he does like a puppy stretch usually. Nah, he's just sitting there being dumb. So next up is the news of the week. We just did that. The next up is, there we go. Oh, gotta get the stretch. Nope, not really. He just did his little stretch though. Now we'll go back to sleep. Now he's woke up, he's stretched, he's ready to go back to sleep. He's pretty tired. Best thing that happens each week is pretty much Brooke Cheney doing her suicide prevention Saturday. It's a short, consistent effort to change our ability to have conversations about mental health awareness and suicide prevention. Pretty important things, considering the antis are going to suggest everything bad about guns is the violence, and they have to use suicides when they are trying to spread that fear. When they're trying to instill that fear on the population, they include suicides. They have to, because the number is less than, and it's just ridiculously low if they don't include suicides. 2 out of every 3 deaths with a firearm is a suicide, so they have to include it. We'd be better off to, 1, reduce the number of suicides, and 2, be better able to have conversations about it, and that's what Brooke provides. She's not doing it with lectures. She's not doing it with some sort of magic spells or anything, or magic recipe. It's just a consistent effort to normalize the conversation about mental health. We can talk about getting a broken arm. Nobody gives you any, nobody looks at you funny. You can talk about getting poked in the eye. But, you talk about being stressed out, talk about anxiety. It's a little bit different. Talk about, mood, feelings. It's not the same. Normalizing that, we'd be better off, especially what the consequence for our community will be is that we'll have conquered that and be able to take it to other people, will see what we've done and be able to take that to their realms of the culture, and we'll have started that, and that'd be a pretty neat thing to have accomplished. We've done it before, so it's something that's within our realm. It's within our ability. All right, so guess what? There's 2 comment periods that everybody's ignoring. One of them is the black powder, possession/storage rules are being updated a little bit, which is unnecessary, and it's just a little nibble, a little power play. So it's annoying, but it's not really here nor there. The other comment period from the ATF, which is a requirement of them, just when they decide to change and do things differently, they are required to do a comment period, an interactive time for a couple of months with the people who are going to be affected by the rule change. And they ask the population of the country, essentially through one branch of the executive branch called regulations.org, or something like that. They are able to ask in a form of an electronic poll our opinion. And in the past, we've had both successes and failures. This year, it's a massive failure. No one really paid attention to it until this week. And now there's going to be 4 or 5 things from Gun Owners of America talking about it. And, in a series of 20-minute to 1 hour long conversations, they urge people eventually to go do something about this. It's 4 days before it ends, 3 days, 6 days before it ends or something. So this is one of those efforts. This one is the new girl who you can get a behind the scenes video of all the people from GOA, all the modern recent people at GOA, the young crew, got together and did a behind the scenes last week. So you can check that out. But that's their first awareness video this week. That one's the 5-minute one. Minnesota has the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. And this is one of the Doer brothers, I think. And they have some sort of banquet. So this, most of the state level gun owners' rights organizations have a banquet or some kind of a dinner once a year. I'm assuming that's what that is. I didn't actually watch that video, but for those folks who are in Minnesota or nearby enough to want to go to one of their state level organizations get-togethers, it's coming up, it looks like. So Professor Yamane, who is Light Over Heat project, just got done writing his book. He started a project called The Professor Is In, where you can ask him questions and he answers them in these videos in this series. He started off with, how do I get started writing a book? Pretty interesting. I like the concept, and good to see that he's continued to evolve his project on. Then you get to the armed attorneys, lawyers out of Texas, who mostly post these little quick premieres, scripted, maybe not scripted, but recorded and edited comments, usually under 10 minutes, about news of the day. So of all the different lawyers doing stuff, I find theirs to be the most concise and without opinion other than like a freedom stint and like being offended when the government's infringing on us, but they don't spend too much time ranting as much as just talking about the positions and what to be aware of. Wow, is that all I had in there? That's all I had in there. So if I'm missing anything, I did have, let's see, this other one from GOA I didn't put in there, but Jared, it looks like, had something. I didn't watch this video, but for 12 minutes, Jared tells everybody about what GOA decided to talk about in the last 5 minutes of the comment period. And if I refresh, it was at 38,000 views, 35,000 views the first time I looked at it 8 hours ago or something. No, 5 hours ago maybe. And let's see what kind of views it has. See how slow my internet is? Everyone is seeing in real life how slow my internet is. Come on. Come on. Well, I'll just skip the, what do you call it? Eventually it'll show up how many views this video got. I can't even pause it yet. This is how slow it is. Okay, so now it's still at 35,000 views. So that also happened. So there's, what's his name's kid, Eric, who runs it now, talking to Jared. And then here's this kid from GOA with 8 reasons you're a gun dealer. So this was from a day ago. So now we have, it was at 3 videos from GOA with a total of, I don't know, less than 50,000 views. Even if everyone involved who saw that video was a separate person and made their own comment, we'd have 50,000 comments. Bloomberg paid for 250,000 comments. I don't even want to look at it to see how many comments there are, but we got annihilated on this one. We look like a bunch of chumps in front of the whole country. They're going to be able to run around with any impression, any interpretation they want of the comment period, because we didn't even attempt to say that we didn't like it. So they're going to say that we liked it. Guess what? All right, well, Cape Gun Works does their show on Wednesdays, and I didn't watch this, but I'm going to watch it now since I don't think they'll get mad, and I need to drink some coffee. So this is FN Pistol Cult Following. Sound interesting.
Hey everyone, Toby from Cape Gunworks here, and I'm really excited to show you a gun that I personally used to own and carry as my everyday carry for a long time. Actually, probably a good year and a half I carried this gun, and it was a big gun to carry, let's put it that way. It is the FN 5.7, and if you don't know what the 5.7 is, you're missing out. This is a super cool round. It's a round that our Secret Service uses in the P90 carbine or a machine gun that the Secret Service uses. So it was originally designed to be a replacement for the 9mm NATO round. They were going to use the 5.7 by 28 as a replacement for the NATO round, but they ended up sticking with the 9mm. But we got this really cool 5.7 by 28 as a result of it. The neat thing about this gun is, besides its cool space-age looks and the polymer materials it's made of, is it's a very easy gun to shoot. It has a great flat, low muzzle rise, low recoil, very, very reliable gun, and it's super accurate. It's shooting laser beams practically because of how fast that round is traveling. It's basically a 22 caliber bullet, but it's going twice the speed of a 22 long rifle. It's about 2,000 feet per second. This has a safety mounted on the frame, which is a little interesting compared to a thumb safety per se. So this is where your finger index is in a good trigger finger discipline spot. And when you need to deploy the safety, you just pull down on your way to the trigger. So it's actually kind of conducive to reaching for the trigger.
Not really.
You can stage your finger in a safe place. You get some tactile feedback that your finger's on the safety, and then when you go to shoot the gun, you're driving out on target, you can swipe that safety down on your way out to the target, and put it back on when you come back in. So that's kind of a neat take on a safety. You don't see this on any other pistol.
Nope.
They also got smart and made an MRD version, which is the one that is ready for optics. So it's an optics-ready version of the gun.
Finally.
It takes the same mag and everything else is functionally the same gun, basically. But it also has these higher sights on it, so if you did put an optic, you'll be able to see through your sight and still catch your iron sights. But really, really neat guns. I can personally attest that they are very good quality and reliable pistols. They shoot great. They're fun to shoot, lower recoil. So some people who are recoil sensitive, maybe to a 9mm or a 45 or something like that, want to get into a gun that's less kick per se, but still plenty of firepower downrange to keep you safe. This would be a great gun to look at. It's a full-size gun, so good for home defense and as well as the range. It has ambidextrous controls on the safety, and also the mag can be flipped around to the right side. So if you're a lefty, you can still drop the magazine in the traditional way. So come check this out at Cape Gunworks, the FN57. It's a popular, iconic, almost cult following pistol that I personally own and love, and think it's a really neat addition to the lineup here in Massachusetts. So I encourage you to come on down and check it out, put one in your hand, see how it feels, maybe shoot one on the range. We have one on our range as well. And I appreciate you tuning in. So that's a little bit about the FN57 pistol. So come check it out. We'll see you next time. Take care.
So I was going to link to that one too, but it didn't. That would have been in the gun talk section. But that's Toby doing a review of it. I don't know. It's an okay gun. It's like $1,000 though. There's no way I'm carrying around a $1,000 gun. And like you said, it's a 22. So my thing is I like to compare it to the PMR 30 because it pisses off everybody with the $1,000 gun when you compare it to a $300 gun. They kind of look the same, and they both hold like 30 rounds, so they kind of are comparisons, but like I say, people get really mad when you're saying that. So now we're going to take a look at the gun stuff. Starting off with Gear Report did their show this week. That's gear-report.com, and then of course they do their podcast on Thursdays. On Saturday nights, that means tomorrow night is when DM Foss does his shows, overnights, so late evenings for most people. Some people it's even overnight. And since last week was the mouse party, that means this week will be the overnight show. So check that out on Saturdays. It's a great conversation. The overnight usually has a topic, and the mouse party is sort of no topic, just bring your own topic to the show type of a conversation. Wow, I didn't have much in there for gun stuff, but like I say, it's been a busy week, so normally we have some more stuff in there for gun stuff. But now we get into some of the radio shows that happened this week, and on Wednesdays, Toby, who we just seen do his kind of talking about the FN there, does a radio show on Wednesdays from the gun shop, and it's called RapidFire Radio. They also do a segment on Tuesdays with a radio show out of Boston. But on Wednesdays, they do the radio show, and it's a 2-hour event. The first hour is a conversation with the viewers, and Toby's talking about whatever's going on. Massachusetts has those 50 anti-gun laws being pushed through right now. So they've got a lot to deal with to coordinate a resistance to that and opposition to it. But then the second hour of the show is usually with a guest, and it's a long format conversation or interview. And this week he had on his local representative, who's a very interesting guy, and really, really worth your time listening to this one. Although it's about the situation in Massachusetts, the conversation is about being a representative and the work that needs to be done and how to get it accomplished. So really great conversation, really. Very some moving portions of it worth listening to. Then there was like the Grace Curley show, like I mentioned. Also, less frequently than before, but an interesting show nonetheless is Come and Talk It out of Austin, Texas. And this week they had a conversation and interview with a duo, two people from Canada who are comedians. And it was interesting because they aren't gun people, and they were aware of guns like I guess a lot of people in the rest of the world are that don't have access to any kind of guns. So they're only familiar with them from movies and from cultural references. So it was an interesting conversation to have some comedians from Texas talk to gun shop owners and podcasters who are from Texas, from Austin, Texas. This week was supposed to be my week to work on the calendars, but that's what happens when you plan on stuff. So sooner than later, the calendars will be updated again, and that will be this segment of the show. We'll talk about what's coming up and what just happened so that you're not caught off guard and you can actually know what's coming up ahead of time. Then we talk about military interviews. I guess I didn't highlight this one. One of my favorites all the time, whenever it pops up, and it's been monthly, I guess, and I'm just now realizing it. But Demoler and Ed's Manifesto get together and do an update. It's an update on the situation in Mexico and mostly the cartels, but that's because a lot of the stuff in Mexico is affected by the cartels. This one is about an area. Okay, I can't remember the name of it, but the area that essentially is the part of Mexico that goes east and west. So it comes up from Central America, or I guess it is Central America. It comes up from South America, and there's like a section of Mexico that goes east and west, and then it kind of comes up again towards the United States. And in that section there's a lot of ports because it's, I guess, a good landing spot, good distance, and good whatever conditions to land. So it's always been a hub of the cocaine trade, or been a hub of the cocaine trade for a long time. And they were concentrating on talking about that area this year, or this episode. Then we get, I didn't link to anything else. Yeah, I just didn't get a chance to finish it. There's been a couple of really good interviews this week. I was just listening to the interview with Mike Vickers. So if you've ever seen the movie Charlie Wilson's War, there's the guy who Charlie Wilson finds eventually and uses as a intelligence guy to understand exactly what is needed instead of theoretically what's needed, but like what's actually needed on the ground in Afghanistan back in the mid-'80s. And the whole arming of the Mujahideen and the resistance to Russian invasion of Afghanistan, the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. And it's always neat to listen to that guy. He's had lots of other interviews, so his stories are out there. He is also at a time in the I guess 70s, late 70s and mid 80s. He was one of the Green Berets that was instructed on the tactical backpack nuclear nukes. So we had nukes that we would parachute in or swim in or hike in to places behind enemy lines during the actual Cold War. And that was a small group of people, SEALs and Green Berets, that would take the backpack nukes in. And he was on one of those teams. So they talked about that a bit. Next week, they'll be talking about some of his other adventures later on where he was working with CIA. So a super interesting conversation this week there. And over on Combat Story, they had a second part with Mike from Mike Drop. So the kind of crossover show continued this week.
definitely great interviews worth checking out on the military interview section of it. Actually, this was a super good week for military interviews. All right, then this week in our stuff, we started off the week having a conversation with Brooke. We finally made arrangements with her schedule to have her on for an hour. I've been wanting to do that one for a long time. So we're going to try to have Brooke back on with Jeff Knox and Alex Uli for kind of a roundtable conversation to catch in on some of the questions I had for each of them that we didn't get to during their shows. And that, my other goal is to get people to meet each other. So the other side of that would be give them a chance to say hey to each other and, have met and chatted a little bit on the off air. We also do this kind of show where we look at what's been going on, except we take a look at Instagram. We do that on Wednesdays. So if you like what we're doing over here on this one, check out the Wednesday show. I try to do it as a podcast thing, so I describe what we're looking at on Instagram, so you don't have to necessarily watch these shows. You can listen to them. Most of our listeners, most of our interaction is through podcasting. And then on Tuesdays, we take a look at how you do this stuff, the guts, the inner workings behind the scenes. In the content creator workshop this week, chatted a bit about the software and the tech that's going to be necessary going into 2024. Asked the artificial intelligence robot brains, what would a Second Amendment content creator need going into next year? And again, they came up with a pretty good list of stuff that might be useful as far as tools and software. I'm really interested in that stuff. I go through every once in a while and kind of refresh myself on what's available, and then it's difficult, but attempt to figure out which ones are the ones to work with. And then I try to work with at least 2, but sometimes 3 or more of whatever it is, content management stuff, video editing software, whatever it might be, or even the artificial intelligences themselves. There's a big difference in the different artificial intelligence, what they can do and the kind of answers they give you, especially, in all of them, but you can see it and you can understand it much easier when you look at the pictures. The pictures that come out of some of them are just insanely good. Here, I can show you a couple. And then pictures coming out of some of the others look like weird nightmares, like goofy, weird nightmares. I consider these to be very good ones, though. I mean, technically, the number of toes on the little guy is wrong. And, it's a little bit goofy of a picture. But you don't have nightmares after watching these. And although they're kind of goofy, they're close enough to being real that they're not super distracting. And, he does drive around in a boat and go scuba diving with the other dog before the podcast. So, but I don't have to get wet. I could just use the internet to get these pictures. So we've just been going through a bunch of pictures that I made with the AI. He gets tired scuba diving. That's why he snored so much. He's tired. So let's see. That was on Tuesday, and that was it. Boom. That's the rest of the show. So I threatened to have a shorter show today, and it was only an hour. So sometimes I've gone 3 hours on the show, but typically we go about an hour and a half. So this one's a little bit tight or a little bit shortened because of the stuff I had going on this week. Thanks to all the people who Cyber Monday'd on Cyber Monday. Everybody got extra piles of stuff in with their loot. I'm going to go double check the Gear website store one more time, just in case somebody bought something during the show, in which case they would have gotten so much free extra stuff. Well, one, I would have probably gotten a note from the post office saying, don't ship this much stuff all the time. And then second, whoever their significant other would be like, dang it, now I can't even buy that person a gift because they got so much free stuff from buying stuff at the Gear website store. So we'll have to attempt to do that next week is there something special coming up next week? Probably not really, but, for the beginning of December. Let's remind everybody that tomorrow is the second day of the month, which is sometimes just every second matters. An opportunity to
create awareness of what our Second Amendment protects. And some people do that with some sort of a traditional method, making a post on a social media platform, wearing around maybe they open carry. Some people wear an empty holster. Some people wear a shirt or something. Some people make a point of bringing somebody to the range. Some people don't make a point of doing anything, but just get together in a conversation during the day and talk about what happened that month. Whatever you might do, feel free to participate. It's something that's been around since 2013. Nobody owns it. There's no rules other than to, on the second, do something to create awareness of what our Second Amendment protects. Otherwise, this is also the weekend of, this is the beginning of the weekend of the SAR show up in Phoenix. So if I would have had the calendar up to date over there, we'd definitely be talking about the second largest gun show in the United States each year. Well, hold on a minute. I don't want to go around and say that far. We're definitely the second largest gun show this side of Tulsa each year. Tulsa's the biggest one. Nobody's going to compete with that. But there are some big shows in Florida and Virginia. So it's a pretty big gun show, though. It's the biggest one, bigger than anything in California or anywhere else out in the West. It happens each year, the first weekend in December in Phoenix. It's cost me about $100 to get up there. And then I got to deal with somebody when I'm there. You can't go in the show. And so I'm not sure if I'm going up, but that is this weekend. If you're in Phoenix, I would highly recommend it. You're not going to see anything like that experience. I think it's $20. It used to be 20. It's probably 25 or something now to get in there, but it's for all weekend. A lot of fun. Hopefully there's a gun show in your area. The gun shows before Christmas are some of the best. That's where they give away free puppies. Ron Wayne says might have to make a post now that he's got Every Second Matters patch. Right on. With that, thanks again for purchasing something over at our store. We've had that scroll going down at the bottom of the screen again. So that means thanks to our Patreons, making it possible for us to spend the time on stuff like this. And 2024 is looking even better. So now's a good time to get on to the Patreon thing. If you're interested in joining an exciting Second Amendment ride. Let's see. Tomorrow it used to start off with this one dude who did a show in the mornings. He doesn't do that anymore. So we'll probably be the first show around midday. Then you get, see again, there used to be another dude that did a show for a while. Never Enough Ammo does a show where he talks about toys and nerd stuff, but I sometimes join in on that one to learn about what movies are coming out and chat about nerd stuff. But Hillbilly Up, I don't know if he's out there now tonight. He'll do a show tomorrow night, usually. Brooke Cheney does her show tomorrow, the Suicide Prevention Saturday. And then in the evening, overnight, when this dog is asleep, that's when Dan Foss will have his show. So looking forward. Oh, and then Sunday morning, I don't think there's anything stopping me from doing a knife show. Guess who has a fat stack of Civivi knives over here? We have so many Civivi knives. Look, I'm showing barcodes. We had so many Civivi knives over here that I had to do an entire live show earlier today for Civivi knives. We're busting at the seams. I can't even keep them out of the video. There's so many of them over here. So at least one of them is heading out to probably a Patreon, possibly somebody who buys something over the Gear website store. One of the Cyber Monday purchasers got a Civivi knife. So thanks to Civivi for sending us those knives, and to the people who purchased up at the store. Another perk. All right, I'm gonna give this dog a rubbing. It's been enough time. I've only been patting him and squishing him. Now it's time to give him a real rubbing. All right, then I can click on another button over here. That'll get us to the. See this? What happened in here? That's an indicator. That's either he needs stuff to go in this end or stuff is coming under this end. When that thing starts licking, you know something's up. So we're ending this show at a good point. Typically, he doesn't wake up and want to eat. I mean, he always wants to eat. Typically, when he wakes up, it's that end. So
Now you know a little bit more about the co-host, maybe even more than you wanted to know.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
Now, there's this dude named Patriot in the dark, and he appreciates it when we end the show with this here. So we're going to end the show with
Shit. Ninja? Ninja! Ninja!
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.